You know what's rubbish? The fact that AJ Lee is retired. She was revolutionizing or evolutionizing, whatever WWE's going with today, years ago and would have fit in with the current scene perfectly. It's not like she was just a good worker or just good on the mic. She could do it all, and she had a great character to boot. Very underrated is AJ Lee, if you ask me. And that rhymed. It's not like leaving pro wrestling behind has slowed her down though. She's found loads of success post-fake grappling, including launching her own book. That's not too shabby in the slightest, and she's an inspiration to us all. As ever, however, when we do look back on her career, there are some things I'm sure both AJ herself and WWE would like us to forget. So, I'm Simon from What Culture, and this is 10 things WWE wants you to forget about AJ Lee. Number 10, she lost to Eva Marie. I don't like how much hate Eva Marie gets because at least she tried, and yeah, she wasn't very good, but she took an opportunity and she ran with it. You can't get mad at that. Who would turn it down? And her last gimmick where she basically trolled audiences across the world was excellent, genuinely very entertaining. What was strange is that when Marie, who clearly WWE knew wasn't great in the ring, took on AJ Lee, who everyone knew was very good in the ring, she beat her twice. Happening in August 2014, it was 2 consecutive singles matches where the redhead came out on top, and to this day no one really knows why, especially as AJ was Divas champion here. It's not like Eva got a title shot or anything either, it simply happened because someone decided it should happen, and within a couple of weeks, the champ was made to look a bit silly, which is always what you want. Number 9, flipping out at Michelle BEADLE. ESPN's Michelle BEADLE was invited to attend WWE's annual Tribute to the Troops show in 2013. A guest of the company, she wanted to go and hang out backstage and got to participate in an in-ring angle with John CENA, but then she ran into some trouble with CM Punk and AJ Lee later in the evening. As the story goes, BEADLE and her entourage bumped into them backstage, and she greeted Punk with a flippant, "What's up, face?" but neither Punk or AJ saw the funny side at all. Moments later, Lee was apparently up in BEADLE's face yelling at her to not disrespect my boyfriend. As you can imagine, it left Michelle a little taken aback. Punk has since downplayed the incident, acknowledging that while BEADLE did greet him as reported, the confrontation was exaggerated no end. On the other hand, Michelle has stated that the situation was so bad it prompted WWE to personally apologize to her and that her existing friendship with Punk ended that day. Given we don't know and never will, I imagine everybody would just either we forgot about it. Number 8, she was Raw GM. I actually don't think I remembered this, so WWE is probably lucky in that sense, but yes, at one point AJ Lee was the general manager of Raw. While it wasn't bad by any extent, it didn't go the way the company intended, or so you would guess. With Raw leaderless, several authority figures from the show's past were brought back ahead of Raw 1000. It was all designed to lead to a big appointment on the 23rd of July 2012 show, with the likes of Mick Foley and Vicky Guerrero passing through and waving like they were on parade. AJ was unveiled in the end, and on one hand, it did make sense. She was one of the WWE's most popular performers at the time. However, the company had spent the past few years portraying her character as crazy. With that in mind, handing her a position of power made no sense, and while some of her interactions as an unpredictable boss were entertaining, this 3-month stint is best consigned to the past. She resigned due to some scandal nonsense that was straight up bad, and we'll get to that in a second, and now we all look forward and never backwards. Number 7, her heat with the Bellas. When real beef infiltrates the fake world of pro wrestling, the results are rarely pretty, and the legitimate bad blood between Nikki Bella and AJ Lee made it to the airwaves a few years back. Rumours of all this first surfaced around August 2013, when Lee shot down the Bellas in a scathing Raw promo. Scripted or otherwise, it sowed the first seeds of dissent, and Nikki clapped back the following year, eviscerating the pathetic little girl from New Jersey in a SmackDown promo that was ultimately edited out of the broadcast. We're going into business for ourselves here, people. It continued a few months later when AJ would chastise the twins for only returning to WWE for the Total Divas reality show, using their cachet with management to prevent others being pushed, and Nikki for her relationship with John Cena. Nikki would then accuse AJ of turning the audience against her, but it's easy to see why they clashed in the first place. The perception was that while the Bellas had been hired for superficial reasons, AJ was a grafter and the antithesis of all that nonsense. Still, Nikki had the last laugh, breaking Lee's record 295-day Divas title run soon after her rival's retirement. Number 6, punishment booking. As is always the case with such tell-all publications, Lee's 2017 book, Crazy Is My Superpower, brought several new revelations regarding her time in WWE to the table, with one of the most notable built around a row with the writing staff in 2012. Her love triangle storyline with CM Punk and Daniel Bryan had reached its natural end. AJ's bonkers character was already problematic enough, but creative pitch she'd take things to the next level, suggesting Lee would start hallucinating on television. One guy even stated that she should dance with a dinosaur. Let that sink in for a second. Unsurprisingly, AJ didn't see the funny side. Having experienced her own battles with mental health, she refused to participate in an arc designed to make light of such situations. So basically, she said no thank you, and she got punished. AJ was taken off TV and the road for 3 months from July to August, and there was no reason as to why. I think we can all figure it out. Number 5, the Total Divas rant. In August 2013, 2 years after her partner CM Punk had dropped his pipe bomb on Monday Night Raw, WWE tried to recreate the magic with AJ spouting off on the Total Divas cast. It was designed as a means of further portraying AJ as the opposite to the supposedly superficial reality show crowd. It was scathing. I highly recommend you go and seek this out so you can take it in properly, and it was very well done, all things considered. AJ showed she could spit fire with the best of them, and it should have sparked a very interesting storyline. Instead, WWE clearly valued Total Divas quite highly, so when an AJ-led group of women took on the cast at Survivor Series, she lost, making all those words pretty much pointless. On top of that, the Bellas weren't happy with what had been said, as they thought it was unwarranted. Hence why today, you don't really hear about it much. Politics, kids. Politics. Number 4, the John Cena affair. We hinted at this earlier, but yes, John Cena was used as a vehicle to remove AJ from her position as Raw GM in October 2012. Vicky Guerrero unearthed footage of the duo getting it on, and though the two initially denied the claims, they eventually became a romantic item. Because of this, Lee resigned from her role, and the ensuing weeks were defined by borderline unwatchable TV, including multiple recorded phone calls and a poorly acted hotel scene. Cena and AJ embraced on multiple occasions, but the whole thing was short-lived, thank goodness. The company canned the storyline on the basis that John had become increasingly impatient with Lee's erratic behaviour, but there was no concrete resolution. The couple just went their separate ways when AJ double-crossed Cena in a match with Dolph Ziggler. What was that? The silver lining was that this allowed Lee to transition into her alliance with Dolph and Big E, and that was one of her career's most productive periods. Still, the whole thing sucked, and it kind of ruined the fact Cena was meant to be a goody two-shoes. Because of all that, WWE hopes you forget about it. Number 3, the worst sentence ever. In another startling revelation from Crazy Is My Superpower, Lee threw allegations at a certain WWE Director of Talent Relations, who also used to perform in front of the cameras, who reportedly brand her as unfuckable during her time on NXT's 3rd season. And yeah, her run on the reality show wasn't great, but nobody's was, because WWE treated the whole thing like a joke by putting the contestants in ridiculous segments such as Who's the Best Kisser? We even had the commentators taking the mick out of Lee because she was a wrestling fan. And what an awful thing for a wrestler to be. Jeez. But the claim is such a phrase came straight from the mouth of said executive, who summoned her for a meeting early in her career. From his point of view, Lee was unmarketable, and despite being told that she was easily scoring the highest number of fan votes every single week, she was removed from the show soon after. Given the time period and the job title, it doesn't take much to figure out who Lee was referring to, but nonetheless, it was awful, even if AJ Lee didn't have any talent. The fact she did, and I tell you, this is terrible all around. Number 2, shooting on Steph. On the 17th of June 2013 episode of Raw, Stephanie McMahon taught AJ Lee a new one, ruining what should have been a title-winning celebration. In short, she effectively sacrificed the Divas champion to put herself over. It's nothing new, really. The moment WWE would most likely to forget about came on Twitter, though. During the 2015 Oscars broadcast, Stephanie sent out a tweet congratulating Patricia Arquette for her speech on the acting industry's gender pay gap. The problem, of course, was that at the time, WWE didn't exactly treat their women as they did the men. This all led to Lee firing back, stating that women's wrestlers had set merchandise sale records and starred in Raw's highest-rated segments, yet still received a fraction of their male counterparts' screen time and salaries. McMahon did reply saying thank you, but 2 months later, AJ had left the company. I don't know if that all ties in, but it probably ties in. Number 1, her marriage to CM Punk. AJ Lee is married to CM Punk, and given that he isn't exactly best friends with WWE, you have to assume that as of right now, it's a little bit of guilty by association. Married in June 2014, the duo were together for over a year beforehand, and WWE did once run a storyline relationship between the two. Weirdly, this was before they actually got together, and when they did, it was never mentioned on TV, because wrestling. There were dirty scenes as well, such as WWE infamously serving Punk his release papers on his and AJ's wedding day, and while the company have denied doing this on purpose, it was seen as a clear sign of malice by many. Several factors played into Lee's decision to leave the wrestling business, including a serious back injury, and now that she is retired, it's unlikely that she'd ever mount a comeback. If she did though, would the relationship between WWE and Punk hurt this? Maybe, because you just never know.
Hey guys, thanks for making it to the end of the video. Aren't you a star? Don't forget to subscribe below, and also the people who made this video, they're right here, so go and follow them and give them some love. If you want to see more content, there's probably some stuff flowing up above my head. Why not check it out? It could be fun. I'm not your dad.